Good day. Jim Hart here. Are you codependent who is maybe still with a person with BPD? Or are you codependent who's an ex now of somebody with BPD? Are you codependent who has a parent that you suspect might be somebody with BPD or a narcissist? This happens for so many people with codependency, but not all. But I'll ask you another question. Are you someone right now who's young, like late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, and you're now in love with this man or this woman that is just fabulous, but you started to catch on to like maybe they have BPD? Because I work with a lot of clients that are very young and it's their first relationship. And the handicap there, not that it's easy for anybody, is trying to understand what's going on. And what makes it difficult is that young people, if it's their first relationship, they don't have anything to compare it to. And I wonder if even if you're older, if you can think back, if you've had other relationships, if you can think back to maybe not necessarily your first one, but the last one, or the one right now, maybe that you're not sure if it's on or off again with the BPDX. How does that leave you feeling like? And for some people who've had many relationships, like 3 or 4 at least, because they're like in their 30s or 40s, or maybe older and more relationships, a lot of people don't realize what same or similar dynamics were playing out in those relationships before they realize what's going on with the last ex or the person right now that it's on and off again with. So what am I really trying to get to here in this video? Well, codependent denial, and also how people with codependency often don't know that until they've been really hurt by somebody with BPD. Even if you've had other cluster B relationships prior, something about the current one has been much more painful, much different, and yet people with codependency, and I see this in a lot of younger clients as well, when it's their first relationship, fair enough, they don't have anything to compare it to. But there's this idea of like, but I can't not be in a relationship. Which, maybe that could be for somebody who isn't codependent, but highly unlikely. And then we have to realize that there's a couple levels of codependency. There's people with codependency who are really have been adversely affected in childhood. And that takes examination in therapy, a family of origin, and the wounded inner child healing work, and many other moving pieces. So again, a reminder, I'm out here to work with you if I'll resonate with you. So what do you think you're struggling with right now, wherever you might be? Because, I don't know who's going to watch this and who, you might be young in your first relationship. You might now know or suspect it's a borderline. You might not. You might have this pattern of continued relationships, with people with BPD, etc. But that codependent denial can be so incredibly powerful, such self-abandonment, right? But you have people with codependency, these externalized out repetition compulsions that are unconscious, that generated from deep within your unconsciousness or your unconscious mind. So what are you going to do about that right now? Because have you heard information out there like, well, the narcissist could change if the narcissist wanted to change? It's all about the narrative, right? No. The borderline could change, but maybe they'll never stop splitting, but they could change otherwise, which is nonsense. But they could do that, like, if they just make a choice to do that. Or, if somebody's out there with BPD and they're like, trying to be in a relationship, maybe they've had some therapy so they're not in the untreated category, and maybe they're working, DBT skills or whatever, their therapy modality is, and maybe they're really working on that because they're in therapy and they're paying attention to that every day or every night. That's not akin to a 12-step thing. Because again, the 12-step thing is nonsense in this area, unless you happen to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. And then it's definitely, probably, along with therapy, something to look into. But so, where are you, do you think, on a scale of codependent denial, still in the relationship, or wanting somebody back really badly? More to the point, though, if you think about it, if you haven't examined this yet, how true would it be, this statement, I just don't know how to be alone, or I could be alone, but I don't want to be alone. I need to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. I don't think we're meant to not be in relationships. We're supposed to be in relationships. I mean, what is the voice? What is the injunction from your parents and from society that you've interjected unknowingly? By the way, when people interject things like injunctions from parents, it's not like they're putting it in you. Like, interjection takes place on an unconscious level, whether a positive or a negative interjection. So what might you have heard, or more to the point in your family of origin, what might you have been told? What might have been the rules that were maybe never spoken? Because those are the injunctions that go in and not only wounded your inner child, creating your codependency in the first place, but also the unspoken family of origin rules in codependent enmeshment, often with a cluster B parent for a lot of people with codependency. All of this will lead you, through the wounded inner child, and not in a conscious way, will lead you to cluster B after cluster B if you don't stop. The relationship, many people with codependency, not everyone's the same. I got to be in a relationship. I have to be in a relationship, because many people, many clients have said to me, well, when I'm in a relationship, I'm feeling this way, and I want to do this, this, and this, and I want to share all this, maybe it's a new car, maybe it's a pool, maybe it's a trip, maybe it's like whatever, but I don't want to do any of that by myself. Or, for somebody that, like, I've talked to clients recently, and they've been thinking about buying a house, they are fortunate financially, and they might say, well, but if I had a partner, or if I could get the BPD back, if that could just work out, if I could just be in a relationship, yeah, I like to get the house with the pool, or I'd like the new van, like, to go on road trips in, but, for just me, and those are just two examples, like I can't think of anything else coming to mind right now, but there might be something that you really like doing. It might be fishing, it might be fishing trips, it might be, different things, but you don't kind of do it on your own because you're feeling pretty poorly if you're not in a relationship. This is codependency significant to severe, that it's not only everything that underpins that codependency. It's not only the fear of being alone, or the not feeling like anything's happening, or you're really bored, or even like feeling empty when you're alone, because you want to share. And then the unconscious part of that is you don't realize how much you need, validation and much more from the external, from outside of yourself. So are you somebody with codependency, no matter where you're at with a borderline or a narcissist or whatever, that does this ring true for you? Because if it does, any of what I've said, I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you, and to help you understand why are you experiencing these patterns, and do you have, and you might not be aware right now, and this is an intellectual thing, emotionally, you might not be consciously aware that you really have a belief that if you're not in a relationship, like, then what? Nothing. It's boring. I can't stand it. People have a fear of it. But really, it's like how so many people with codependency just believe that they need that other person, like from the movie Jerry Maguire, right? That can have you at hello and that can complete you. Because you don't know how to meet your own needs, and so you're looking to externalize those needs onto someone else, which is a little bit of an overlap with BPD, but it's not the same thing. It's close, but there's different motivation behind the needs of the person with BPD untreated, and people with codependency untreated. And so do you think that you have bought into the belief that, for whatever reasons, that you just have to be in a relationship where nothing matters, nothing counts, can't be happy unless you're in a relationship? Maybe you don't even have a clue why, but if that's true for you, do you know how much that you are worthy of and deserving and need to invest in yourself to learn more about this and why you feel this way? Because it isn't healthy. It's all or nothing. And you're still abandoning yourself because you won't pursue a hobby or do something nice or kind for yourself because you want to externalize it out to share it with someone else, be they borderline or narcissistic, right? Or have NPD, because then you're expecting and hoping something will come back, which is replicating childhood woundedness all day long. The codependent denial, but more to the point, the unconscious nature of that, and societal pressure, and maybe family pressure, injunction, expectation. You feel less than a sibling who's married. Like, why can't I have a relationship that works out? People in codependent denial or in these very painful places after BPD-X or Narcissist X or on and off again, what you really need to get into therapy to find out is, why are you so relationship driven? So obviously, to want to be in a relationship, to have a healthy relationship, is a desirable thing. But why are you so relationship driven that you don't matter? You don't count. It's like you don't know yourself if you don't have that other person to either have chaos and drama that replicates something from your childhood with, that you don't really want, but the wounded inner child is seeking similarity and sameness in the hope of reparation. And that doesn't happen in these relationships. So have you asked yourself if you have this belief, or are you aware? Because you might have the belief in your unconscious mind and not be aware that you just feel, and I'll put in here the word too excessively driven. Too excessively relationship driven, like you can't do what you need to do, like you're not really you if you're not in a relationship. This is how so many people with codependency not only end up in the relationship with the borderline or the narcissist, and the trouble getting out. And then if you don't stop, get into therapy and really seek your healing recovery from the last relationship, the breakup, and the codependency, people will go on to meet the next borderline or the next narcissist. And I can tell you anecdotally from 31 years of working with clients, many of whom are in the work and we're working, I'm in sessions with them every week, but sometimes they do make a choice to the left or the right, and they go back around, or they go and they decide to just jump back into dating because they don't know how else to survive. And this is really how they put it, and I hear them on that. And then they make other choices, but if they stay in the process, then when they get heartbroken again, and often quickly, and disillusioned again, and often quickly, and then back to the, oh my God, I'm alone again because I'm supposed to be in a relationship. Well, guess what? You need to first cultivate, in therapy, a healthy relationship to and with yourself, and become a healthy individual, individuated but independent is the word I'm looking for, person who is adulting to age appropriateness, because it can be hard for many people with severe codependency to really have adulted emotionally to match where they are with their intellect and their age, and in a different way than those with BPD. So do you think, does it resonate? Could it be possible that you have codependency to the point where, and you may or may not be aware, but you are just overly too relationship driven, and you abandon yourself if you get into a relationship with a cluster B, and you abandon yourself when you're not in a relationship because you don't have a healthy and functional relationship to yourself, that would give you self-esteem and self-worth, and that you will be able to feel confident and be an independent person. This is what people with codependency need to seek therapy for, need to take the process, work the process through to be able to become an independent person who won't be so relationship driven. Because the analogy I would use is like if you are chasing after, because you're relationship driven, you've got to be, you're chasing after someone, the ex or somebody new, and you're not looking at yourself, this fly has got to go. Then it's like chasing a butterfly that you just have to have for some reason, and just go with me on this. So you're chasing the butterfly with a net, and you got to have that butterfly. You can chase and chase and chase it for days and weeks and months, whatever. But if you just put the net down, which would be like getting into therapy, looking at yourself, dealing with your own woundedness, why you have codependency, why you might be so relationship driven, other driven, because you don't matter all by yourself. What's that about, right? Well, if you stop chasing the butterfly and you sit down, you relax. So you look at things and you work things through in therapy, and you heal from recovery. No, you don't. You heal and recover from the BPD or narcissist ex or parent or both, and you heal and recover your codependency. Then you sit down on the rocks by the brook, and the butterfly lands on your shoulder. And what does that really mean? The relationships that you're chasing right now in circles with all the wrong people that are hurting you so much and only making your codependency worse, and your unmet needs piling up, will be so much easier to find when you stop right now and realize you can't go back around these circles with that borderline ex or the next one or the ex before them perhaps. Or maybe you do have a cluster B parent as well, and you have family of origin issues ongoing right now. So the point is to look at how relationship driven are you, and in the mad chase for the butterfly, which would be the meeting of all your needs and the best relationship possible, that you're looking for, but like a healthy one, which you don't know how to have right now, with yourself first, then with someone else later. Think about getting into therapy, out here to work with people I resonate with you. Think about taking this journey and healing and recovery journey to be an independent person who can sit by a brook in a calm way, enjoying your own self-worth, your own self-esteem, meeting your own needs, and the butterfly lands on your shoulder, or a healthier person comes along for you to meet when you're ready to be an independent person, to meet another independent person, to see all those red flags, to take care of yourself. And more importantly, you won't be so relationship driven when you know yourself. And you probably lost yourself even more if you've been in a relationship with somebody with BPD or NPD recently. So I hope that gives food for thought and maybe is helpful to some people, because people with codependency in these cycles, on and off again, wherever you're at, relationship's over, but you're looking for that closure or this or that, or you still got their stuff, or all these reasons why. On both sides of the fence, people with BPD and codependents are looking for recontact often, and they think it's just about stuff or about this or about that, when it is really about you just want them back. You just are that relationship driven. You are that lost on your own. Isn't it time to find you? And more importantly, to heal the wounded inner child and come home to self and know that place inside for the first time in your life in a healthy, loving, vibrant, self-worth, meeting your own needs kind of way.